Welcome to Design Experience Conversations. It's an absolute privilege to be here today with Michele Pasca di Magliano from Zaha Hadid. Michele, welcome to New Zealand.
Hi, Rich.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michele, I'd love to know about the history of your practice and where you came from. Obviously, Zaha Hadid, a very, very famous name, but I'd love to hear the story about how it is that you've developed into the practice.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation. It's a pleasure to be back in New Zealand, as usual. My name is Michele Pasca di Magliano. I'm a director at Zaha Hadid Architects in London. I've been working alongside Zaha at first for almost 12 years. And I've been helping to run the practice since her passing in 2016. Zaha Hadid Architects is an employee-owned practice based in London, in the UK, but we really are international design powerhouse, I like to call it. We try to do innovation in the field of architectural design and beyond, spreading projects starting from Europe to Asia to Australia, New Zealand, and US.
Fantastic. One of the things that's so amazing and striking about the Zaha Hadid projects is just the imagination that comes into these things that you create, just pieces of art. I'd love to know where it is that you get your inspiration. You get given a project, but where does all of that beauty and inspiration come from?
Well, there is always an opportunity. Every project becomes almost like an excuse to kind of try and test new ideas. There is an underlying research that goes on within the practice. So from one project to another project, you come up with ideas and then you evolve them. And then through that trajectory of design evolution, there are all these briefs that clients kind of prompt us with. And really one of the secrets is trying to have the right balance between suiting the client needs and the specific sites and specific areas of the world where we work on, and at the same time kind of bringing forward this overall design agenda. We take inspirations mainly, I would say, from nature, but not mimicking nature, but really thinking about nature as a system of organization. And so one of the key things we're trying to do is just bring back design and architecture to first practice and first principles, moving away from kind of pre-constituted solutions and repeating what we've done in the past, but always aiming to evolve. Come up with new ideas, come up with new solutions, and rethinking the status quo.
One of the things that always amazes me about Zaha projects is just the materiality that's used. Obviously, you've got your creativity, but how do you come up with the materials that you're going to use for it, given that the designs are always so unique?
So our designs always takes inspiration from the social needs of the community and the city where our projects are going to be built in. So one of the key things for us is really having a project that suits the purpose of the specific building or specific architecture that we need to build. And I truly believe that materiality, construction techniques have to follow the design inspiration. So we try not to preconceive at the beginning of the project which materials are we going to use or which solution are we going to use, but rather work with manufacturers, suppliers, and builders to come up with the best solution for the specific project. So the design itself becomes a little bit of an excuse to come up with new materials. We did a lot of research in composite materials. We're now starting to use 3D printing into architecture. So we're really trying to kind of create the cutting edge into the construction industry. And obviously we welcome companies that want to break the boundaries a little bit and continue to evolve. So even sometimes we've done actually projects in bricks in London, but then we work with a manufacturer who actually 3D assembled the bricks, and we had this kind of quite beautiful facade. So we're actually using a very traditional material, but in a very innovative way, up to projects where we actually came up with totally new construction systems like 3D printed concrete for a bridge in Venice a few years back, where we actually had to come up with a new system of production for our designs.
And how do you work with the manufacturers to come up with something which is going to meet the structural requirements of a project, but also meet the aesthetic requirements that you're after?
And fit the budget, which is always one of the key elements. So you need to you need to work very, very closely with the industry. You need to find the right partners. First of all, we have our own design team, which has a lot of experience in delivering quite unique projects. So we have our own ways of and contacts and network of people we talk to. We work with a lot of engineers that actually marry up and really understand the principles of what we're trying to do. And then from there, we're really moving on to funding builders and manufacturers that want to take that journey with us. And sometimes that journey actually is about adapting an existing system and an existing material for a specific project. Sometimes we come up with something totally fresh, or across the life of one or two projects, we can actually develop new products. So there is no kind of preconceived solution. There is no one size fits all, but we are able to satisfy the needs of our clients, which is ultimately the most important thing, and the needs of the communities where we will build.
I imagine that as such a famous practice, then there's a huge desire for people to be involved with your practice at a working level, graduates or professional architects. Can you tell us about how that works and how it is that you grow individuals within your business?
So, we actually, the main purpose of our existence, I would say, is the intellectual property of the practice carrying forward. So Zaha Hadid Architects is a pool of ideas and a pool of people that want to work together and want to collaborate together. One of the key things for us was actually moving on to an employee benefit trust, where the practice is wholly internally owned. There is no external investor, there is no external owners. And as a matter of fact, this really creates a legacy within the practice. So once people come in to the office and they're part of that community of over 500 architects working at Zaha Hadid Architects, then they can really see a kind of a career progression within that. We welcome graduates, we welcome some of our students from courses that I teach and some of my colleagues teach around the world. So that's pretty much an obvious kind of way into the office. There is quite thorough, I would say, interview process to come in, but that's always a good way to know to get in. And then there is a clear career path. It depends a little bit what people want to do. If they want to stay, obviously we welcome people to stay as long as they can and as long as they want. It's a very international practice, so we're also aware that some people want to stay for a few years in London, then they want to go back to their country of origin. We've been fortunate enough, actually, in the past few years, we've been able to allow some of our staff to set up regional offices where they, maybe they had contacts and clients in a specific region, so they could actually offshoot and create a kind of little practice to deliver projects worldwide. So there is a bit of a mix. In terms of the actual training and education, I would say the first 6 months for any new graduates within the office is really about, learning the tools, learning the trade. So we give a lot in terms of day-to-day advice and counseling. Obviously, we want to have people that come in with good software and technical skills, and then with us, we marry those with our design philosophy. And we offer courses at all levels. So both on technical and software skills, but also for senior staff on management, on project management, on team management. And lately, we introduced yoga. So you can also train your body when you are in the practice. So we have all sorts of, let's say, some activities which are more focusing on the well-being and the mind of the people, and also social events are quite important for us. They become a real opportunity for the broader team to connect. So you're not just working with the 10 or 20 people that are immediately your co-working, your teammates. But for instance, last year we had the whole office fly out to Dubai to see a few projects that have been delivered in the last couple of years. And this year we flew the whole office out to China. We had over 350 people in China traveling from Chengdu to Xi'an to Beijing, where they had the opportunity to see some of our build projects and some of our construction sites, and obviously network with each other. So these are real opportunities of growth that go beyond the day-to-day work set of the practice.
And what projects are you involved with at the moment, particularly down this end of the world?
So at the moment, I'm involved in a number of projects, mainly in Southeast Asia, in mainland China, and in the Middle East, ranging from new science museum in Singapore, which was just awarded tender, to a Japanese contractor. It's a government-led project, so it's very interesting for us to work on projects which have high level of regulation from the local government. I'm also doing project very large, the biggest project to date of the practice, which is 1 million square meters in Chengdu in China for a project called Unicorn Island, and 3 office buildings in Shanghai along the Pudong River. Again, a very, very interesting project, which is almost nearing completion on these days. In the Middle East, we're also quite busy working on some of the new resorts and some of the new hospitality projects that are going out down there in different regions, both Saudi and some of the neighboring Emirates. And on this side of the world, well, we have a number of projects in Australia. We're doing a few towers, mixed-use towers. We're building a new Western Sydney airport. And we're looking forward for opportunities to New Zealand.
We're only a 3-hour flight away, so it makes sense that you would do your next project here, right?
Yeah, that's coming.
Michele, thank you so much for joining us at Design Experience Conversations. It's my absolute pleasure to have you in New Zealand, so thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.